Hello and welcome back to the Joyful Soul Creates. Charlotte here with a video for this month's Same Set Syndrome collaboration. We're using Kat Scrappiness's Christmas Gnomes this time around. And I'm just going to jump in and talk about what I'm doing, and then I'll talk about the hop in a little while. So first off, I've stamped one of the gnomes, the one holding the candy cane, onto a snippet of alcohol marker friendly paper. I used MFT's Black Hybrid ink, and I'm colouring with my Spectrum Noir Illustrator markers. I decided to go for greens for the little gnome's outfit. Red would be an obvious choice here, I think, but most of my card is going to be red and that candy cane's going to be red, so I thought green would be a nice alternative. I tried to go with a quite bright green combination, and you can see the caps of the colours I have used on screen. And then once his outfit was completed, I moved on to colouring his skin. There's actually not a lot of skin on show, just his nose and his hands, and I just used 2 shades for those as it's such a small space. And whilst I'm working on some of the colouring, I will talk a bit about the hop. So as I said, this is the Same Set Syndrome hop, and each month we are featuring some smaller craft companies. This month is Kat Scrappiness. We do have a giveaway. There is a $20 gift card to Kat Scrappiness up for grabs. You need to leave a comment by October the 7th. That's when we will be picking winners, and the winners will be announced on October 10th. So the more of the videos you comment on, the more chances you have to win. Also, at the end of our collaboration in December, there will be a draw from the comments on all the videos throughout the entire collaboration, so all 6 months, and that will be a $50 gift card to a sponsor of your choice. So again, it's well worth going through and commenting. Back to the card. I normally, when I colour white, I like to use creamy colours for the shading, but for some reason I decided to use grey on the white trim of the gnome's clothes and then the creamy colours on his beard. And initially I didn't like this. I thought the contrast looked weird. I thought it looked too much like his beard was a pale skin colour, so I tried to blend it out, and then I went over it with the grey, and I think eventually it worked, but it just wasn't what I had in mind at first. But to be honest, that seemed to be the case with this card all along. This card and video just caused me so much trouble. For one thing, my stamp set didn't arrive until only a few days before the hop, so I'm making this video right at the last minute. Then the first card idea I had, I started working on, and then just it wasn't working. I got stuck. I didn't know what to do, so I changed my mind and decided to do something simpler, which is this. Towards the end of making this, I stood up to look through my camera because I find that's sometimes a good way to make sure things are straight, and noticed that it was giving me a memory card error and saying that the files were corrupted, and I had no idea if I'd lost everything. I didn't know how much I had lost, if there was any left at all. That was like right when I was almost finished, and I decided just to keep going and hope for the best. Luckily, it had only lost a very tiny bit of footage, and the videos that I had saved were completely fine and not corrupted, so that was a relief. The next problem was when I set the videos to import to my computer from the memory card, and my computer turned off whilst it was doing that. We've had some issues with the power strip that my computer's plugged into, and I turned on my light on the other side of the room to take my photos of my card, and as I turned the power on there, the power went off on my computer, which has never happened before. Luckily, the videos had already finished moving. I didn't realise they had, but they had presumably just finished just before it turned off, so they didn't get lost, and I did manage to get my computer back on once I'd turned that light off, but it was a bit of a nightmare. So now I'm just hoping nothing else goes wrong whilst I'm doing this voiceover. So yeah, that's the fun I've been having with this. But you don't want to know about that, you want to know about the card. So I finished colouring everything in. I used a white gel pen to add some extra detail to my little gnome, and then fussy cut him out and set him aside to work on my card base. I have a red card base, and I'm going to dry emboss into it with 2 of the Kat Scrappiness Never Ending rectangle dies. I had also planned to make a narrow white frame that would fit in between these embossed rectangles, but I couldn't find a snippet of white card big enough and I didn't want to cut into a new one just for this, so I decided not to bother with that. Next, I'm creating my repeating sentiment background, which is kind of the technique of sorts I wanted to show in this card. So I'm just starting at the top with the Christmas is Gnoming stamp, and I had, when I chose my rectangles to use for the dry embossing, I made sure that sentiment would fit within it. I then shifted the card base up 1/4 inch. Depending what sentiment you're using, you may need to move more or less than that, but I did 1/4 inch at a time and repeat stamped with that stamp and the embossing ink. I was then able to apply my white embossing powder and heat set that, and that completed the background. I did want to bring in some more of the white. As I said, my idea of doing a die cut frame didn't work out, so instead I'm actually going along the dry embossed lines with a white gel pen, and I did use my T-square ruler just to help make sure I got this straight. This is around about where my camera cut out, so you don't see me doing the inner one, but it's basically the same thing. I will then use Tombow Monomulti liquid glue to adhere the gnome into place, and just carefully press that into place. And I did weigh it down whilst it dried as well. You could pop up the gnome if you prefer, but I thought it looked fine flat. And that completed my card, and I think I've managed to get through the voiceover without any problems, apart from my voice doesn't feel like it's working properly, so hopefully it sounds okay to you. But that was the card and the video, and be sure to check the description box below for the next stop on the hop. And remember to leave a comment for a chance to win a prize. Let me know if you have done this technique with the repeat sentiment background before. If you're not yet a subscriber, you can subscribe by clicking the button on screen, and there are a couple of other videos of mine there if you'd like to see more from me straight away. Otherwise, I'll thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!